Conspiracy theories, they're interesting, and at times they can lead you down a rabbit hole of different proportions. One that I found myself in just recently showed me a lot of stuff that I need to share with you guys. And again, I can feel that this video is for sure going to be suppressed. What if I told you that there's footage of then Vice President Biden threatening Ukraine with the pullback of $1 billion loan if they didn't fire a state prosecutor who was investigating Hunter Biden? What if there was footage showing their military burning documents relating to the first son and their dealings there? It's getting real interesting real fast, folks. Now, what if those documents contain the development and research of biological weapons? What if I showed you videos of our own government officials lying on camera? Oh wait, you guys have already seen a lot of those. But hey, it's best to see more and be informed, right? Now, before I begin, I would really appreciate if you guys could drop a like for the video. My videos have been seeing a lot of suppression and censorship lately, even though, all I want to do is share the facts with my community. So a thumbs up really helps in getting this information out to the people. And if you're interested in getting your daily dose of the truth, believe me, I supply a lot of that. Whether it's what's going on in Washington, D.C., the state of our economy, the stock market, housing market, Social Security, SSI, SSDI, SNAP and EBT, and anything that affects our lives, our families, and our bank accounts, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you own a home, make sure your home is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. There's a link in the description down below.
And I went over for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yates that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired.
You may be wondering, what is this video? Well, it was taken back in 2018, and he's recollecting how he threatened the then president of Ukraine back in 2016 about the U.S. loan guarantees of $1 billion. The prosecutor in question was Victor Shulkin, and it just so happens that he was leading a corruption probe into the natural gas firm Burisma Holdings, the company that paid Hunter Biden $1 million a year to do, well, we're not even sure what he did. All people knew is that he made $83,333 a month to sit on the board. Now, let me get this straight. This prosecutor was just doing his job because we're all aware of the corruption in Ukraine. But the moment he oversteps and starts investigating Hunter Biden, the VP suddenly threatens them. Isn't that abuse of power? But wait, it doesn't end there. Now, we all know Burisma and their corruption, but were you guys aware of Metabiota and Hunter Biden's involvement with them? Well, back in 2009, Hunter Biden started a company with the stepson of former Secretary of State John Kerry, then invested $500,000 in Metabiota, a company that worked in the Ukraine for Black & Veatch, an American defense contractor which built labs in Ukraine. I know, quite the story, but roll with me for a minute. These were all connected to biolabs in Ukraine, all of which were denied by top government officials. Just look at what the Pentagon press secretary John Kirby said when he was asked about it.
This issue of military biological labs in Ukraine that the Russians keep raising.
Yeah.
Can you basically explain to us what type of relationship, if any, there was between the Pentagon and the Ukrainian side on any biological labs? When was the last cooperation, and what do you have to say about these Russian accusations?
The Russian accusations are absurd. They're laughable. And, in the words of my Irish Catholic grandfather, a bunch of malarkey. There's nothing to it. It's classic Russian propaganda, and I wouldn't, if I were you, I wouldn't give it a drop of ink worth paying attention to.
Yeah, but can you explain to us has there been any relationship between the?
We are not developing biological or chemical weapons inside Ukraine. It's not happening.
Come on, guys, stop asking him the same question and stop making him lie in front of the cameras. He even says that we shouldn't waste ink as if to say that this isn't a news item that's worth our time. But how do I know it's a lie? Well, these people really need a reliable group chat, as they're not all talking to each other about what to answer when asked about Ukraine and biolabs.
Does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
Ukraine has biological research facilities which, in fact, we are now quite concerned Russian troops, Russian forces may be seeking to gain control of. So we are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces should they approach.
I'm sure you're aware that the Russian propaganda groups are already putting out there all kinds of information about how they've uncovered a plot by the Ukrainians to release biological weapons in the country and with NATO's coordination. If there's a biological or chemical weapon incident or attack inside of Ukraine, is there any doubt in your mind that 100% it would be the Russians that would be behind it?
There is no doubt in my mind, Senator, and it is classic Russian technique to blame on the other guy what they're planning to do themselves.
That was Senator Mark Rubio basically guiding Victoria Nuland, the Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs to the country, to answer that it's all Russia's fault. So yeah, if any biological weapons come out of Ukraine, it's Russia that's at fault. But thanks for saying that Ukraine does indeed have biolabs. So you have to wonder if these labs are somehow connected to the United States. Maybe we're funding them? Kind of like how NIH and Anthony Fauci funded gain-of-function research overseas. I guess they can say that, they weren't funding it directly since it wasn't even on U.S. soil. But let's go back to what Nuland said about her fear that Russia may soon take control over these areas and get access to these documents. Doesn't it feel like they're already trying to protect their behinds with these statements? Because Russia did get these documents, and one of their officials, Igor Krylov, he's saying that the Pentagon already had direct involvement in funding military biological experiments in the Ukraine since March 6, 2015. I guess they forgot to burn those documents. There's even proof that shows the NIH were funding these experiments. Look at this. Now, if you see at the bottom, it says, quote, "No NIH funding can be used to perform such experiments until these experiments have been approved by NIAID with a revised NOA," end quote. But wait, I thought the NIH didn't fund biological experiments. But of course, let's blame Russia. Here's former White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki doing just that.
They have a large biological and chemical weapons program. So it's a pattern, but they also have the capacity. Well, I'm not going to get into specific intelligence. We look at all of those factors. And we also know, and one of the main issue that prompted my Twitter thread yesterday was that Russia has a history also of inventing outright lies like this, which is the suggestion that the United States has a chemical and biological weapons program, or Ukraine does, that they're operating. Russia is the country that has a chemical and biological weapons program. So the objective was to make clear the inaccuracy of the information, the misinformation they're trying to put out, and make clear to the world that they not only have the capacity, they have a history of using chemical and biological weapons, and that in this moment we should have our eyes open for that possibility.
Oh, so that's why Russia was the one asking the United Nations Security Council to confirm the biological labs in Ukraine. Labs that they claim are being funded by the United States. And well, the UN said, no thanks. And if any investigations will be happening, they're not going to find anything. President Zelensky made sure of it. How? Check out this document. Oh wait, let me get the translated one. It says that back in February 24, 2022, President Zelensky organized the devastating destruction of personal files of servicemen, employees, and staff of the State Institution Center for Public Health of the Ministry of Health of Ukraine, end quote. Now at the end, you're going to see a company name, Metabiota, Inc. There's footage too. Watch this. And it's clear that they're burning documents. The question is, are these documents related to Hunter Biden or the NIH? And you got to realize that this order was announced the same day that Russia invaded them. I guess they're really trying to keep this away from the public's eye. But what do you guys make of all this? Conspiracy theories? Or are we looking at the truth behind what's really happening over there? You be the judge. Now, before I go, I just want to talk to you guys really quick about an opportunity to turn your life around. And it has a lot to do with your willingness to get out of your comfort zone. The road to financial freedom, it's not simple, but there are steps to get there. One of which is budgeting. It's a key piece that that many people usually miss. You also got to think about cash flow if you want to generate multiple streams of income that you can focus on, side hustles, maybe a small business. But once you're prepared with cash reserves, it could be a good time to invest in real estate or even the stock market. But how do you start with all this? The first step would be to, feel free to join us over in the Patreon community. There's a link in the description down below. Hope to hear from you guys soon on that one. Remember, the path to financial freedom is not easy, but it's also not impossible. Now, I just want to thank you guys for always dropping a like for the video. Please be kind to one another, and I'll see you on the next one.